Hello, Lowcountry Food Bank Partner Agencies. This is our required annual USDA training for agencies who currently participate in TEFAP, also known as the USDA program. If your agency does not participate in USDA, a different training will be made available for you to learn how to join the program. Make sure your volume is on, because this presentation includes sound. After viewing this training video, you must confirm your understanding by completing our online form. If you do not complete the confirmation by Friday, November 12, 2021, your agency may be suspended from receiving USDA food until it has been completed. TEFAP, also called the USDA program, stands for the Emergency Food Assistance Program. It is a federal program that helps supplement the diets of low-income Americans by providing them with emergency food assistance at no cost. USDA provides 100% American-grown USDA foods and administrative funds to states to operate TEFAP. We cannot accept any exchange of funds, including having a donation jar at your distribution. There can be no requirement for volunteering or doing any services in exchange for food. If someone wants to donate during a distribution, we must ask them to bring or send their donation at another time. Certain religious activities are prohibited at your distribution. We will go over some examples of acceptable and unacceptable religious activities. It is acceptable to have a cross hanging on a wall at the food distribution facility. Have a menorah on a table at the food distribution facility during the holiday season. Have a display stand at the food distribution facility that contains faith-based pamphlets for anyone interested. Have a pastor or religious official assist with the distribution of USDA food. It is not acceptable to require participants to join in prayer at the time of the food distribution. Refuse USDA foods to participants who do not practice a particular faith. Hand out faith-based pamphlets with USDA foods or pack them into food bags or boxes. Force or encourage participants to have a religious conversation with anyone during the food distribution. Agency staff and volunteers at our food pantries and on-site feeding programs provide participants with emergency food and nutrition. This program would be impossible without you and your team's hard work. Thank you. This chart shows the organizations involved in administering TEFAP. USDA operates the program at the federal level and sets all guidelines that we must follow. South Carolina Department of Agriculture administers TEFAP at our state level, and each food bank is responsible for distributing TEFAP food to local agencies who qualify to participate in TEFAP. Eligible recipient agencies are organizations who distribute TEFAP food directly to people in need. That's you. These are the baseline requirements that you and all USDA agencies must meet. You have experience in feeding programs. You have adequate storage for food. You have regular, dependable hours of operation. You are open to the general public. And your pantry utilizes USDA and non-USDA foods. Your organization receives different amounts of TEFAP food depending on the number of people that you serve and how frequently you're open. Link2Feed is an online database used to store client TEFAP applications and to log each time a client receives TEFAP food. This online system will replace all paper forms, no more giant binders of applications. It will be required that all USDA agencies are using Link2Feed in 2022 per the South Carolina Department of Agriculture. Client data is shared among all USDA agencies in our 10-county service area. If a client has completed a Link2Feed USDA application at a different pantry, they won't need to complete one at yours. Once a client's information is in the Link2Feed system, it is very easy and quick to log their visit each time they come to your pantry. What do you need to get started with Link2 Feed? A computer or tablet. Internet access at your agency. Volunteers that are comfortable using technology. And a can-do attitude. Transitioning to Link2 Feed is not optional. All USDA agencies will have to start using Link2 Feed in 2022 in order to continue participating in TEFAP and receiving USDA commodities. Ready to get started? Check out the Link2 Feed orientation video on our website. Disclaimer: this training is for all agencies receiving USDA and TEFAP product. Agencies are at varying stages of using Link2 Feed, therefore we are still referencing paper forms until this transition is fully complete in 2022. If you are not using Link2 Feed, you must use the 2019 TEFAP application for all new applicants. In order to receive TEFAP or USDA food, clients must complete an application, must be a resident of your county, and fall within the income guidelines. Income and county residency are self-declared, and we do not need documentation to support. We must check ID only to verify their identity during their application process, and then afterward each time they receive food. Automatic qualifiers include SNAP or food stamps, TANF, also known as cash welfare, or SSI. If your client qualifies for any of these programs, that means their income is at a level where they also qualify for USDA. Once you begin using Link2 Feed, you will no longer use paper applications. The TEFAP issuance log, sometimes called the commodity log or distribution log, is provided to serve as a sign-in sheet for agencies, as well as assisting agency managers to categorize household information for reporting purposes. This sheet makes it easy to complete your required monthly meal report on the Lowcountry Food Bank website. Agency managers are encouraged to utilize this form but are welcome to use their own form to sign in participants. Every visit must be recorded on this sheet, or a sign-in sheet similar to this. The recipient may write their name, or an agency worker may print the recipient's name for them. Once you begin using Link2 Feed, you will no longer use the paper issuance log. What if Mr. Smith and his family need food immediately, but they do not live within the county limits? Not everyone who comes to your pantry will qualify for USDA. Part of the reason agencies are required to supply non-USDA foods is to be able to assist individuals who do not qualify for the program. Anyone who does not qualify, for any reason, income or outside of the county, should be served using non-USDA foods. Please make sure you always have non-USDA food on hand. After serving someone who lives outside your county with non-USDA foods, you can let them know that more food may be available at a pantry closer to them. They can use our website to find pantries in other counties. The following items must be displayed in a place visible to the public. The days and hours of your food distribution. These should be displayed outside your facility in a place the public can easily see them. Your food safety certificate. Income eligibility guidelines, dated March 2021. A civil rights and justice for all poster. An interpretive services poster. And a beneficiary rights poster. Income guidelines should be displayed for clients at your pantry. Ensure you have the correct version of these guidelines by looking for an effective date of March 2021. One note about the definition of a household for USDA. We are using the same definition of a household as SNAP, which is a group of people who purchase and prepare food together. So, you could have two roommates who buy and prepare their food completely separately, so they would be separate households for USDA, even though they share an address. Conversely, you could have someone who buys and prepares food for an elderly relative living separately, but they would be counted as the same household for USDA because they essentially share a food budget. The "And Justice for All" poster must be displayed in view of clients and volunteers. This poster explains the non-discrimination policy of the USDA program and exactly what must be done if someone has a discrimination complaint. Annual civil rights training is required for agency operations. To ensure all staff and volunteers are trained, agency managers should conduct training during regularly scheduled meetings, train new staff and volunteers as they come aboard, and create a review station with an acknowledgement form. The interpretive services poster is new. It must be posted so that individuals that need a language interpreter know how to obtain the services. Please make sure your volunteers are aware of this free service. Faith-based organizations are prohibited from encouraging or requiring participation in religious activities in order to receive USDA food. The written notice of beneficiary rights explains this policy to clients and volunteers. In faith-based organizations, this poster must be placed in a prominent location, preferably alongside other required posters, such as the "And Justice for All" poster and the income guidelines. The current beneficiary rights poster has the South Carolina Department of Agriculture logo at the top. Because TEFAP is a federal program, it's extremely important that we follow the civil rights guidelines closely. We must treat our participants and each other fairly and equitably, with dignity and respect. We have a legal obligation not to unlawfully discriminate either for or against anyone on the basis of protected classes. Protected classes include race, age, color, sex, national origin, and disability. In addition, a client's immigration status is irrelevant to receiving USDA foods. Training must include the following: how to assist participants with language barriers. We must be prepared to help those who are deaf or hard of hearing, visually impaired, or speak other languages. Please use the information found on the interpretive services poster. Failure to provide meaningful access can be considered discrimination. How to assist individuals with disabilities. Volunteer assistance, wheelchair ramp, or other means to serve those with mobility challenges. Failure to provide reasonable accommodations may subject your agency to a discrimination claim. How to differentiate between program complaints and civil rights complaints. Complaints about the food are different than a discrimination complaint. If the person feels they are being treated differently due to belonging to a protected class, that is a discrimination complaint. Conflict resolution. Volunteers need training on identification of the issue and how to calmly communicate with participants on program guidelines. Non-compliance resolution. If your team learns that you are not accommodating all groups, corrective actions must be made to address findings. Customer service expectations. In order to avoid stress on volunteers and staff, customer service skills can go a long way. Friendly staff, offering assistance in other areas, developing good listening skills, identifying stressors, and other ways to offer a good pantry experience to all. What do you do if you receive a civil rights complaint? All staff and volunteers must know how to assist participants in any of these matters, and/or whom to refer questions and concerns to. Refer the complainant to the "And Justice for All" poster, which contains instructions and contact information for the government department which investigates discrimination complaints. We are obligated to make this information available. Inform the client that they have 180 days after the incident to file a complaint. Racial and ethnic data must be collected at the point of application and reported to determine the effectiveness of the program. However, it does not affect eligibility. Civil rights training, which should include all the information we just discussed, must be completed with your volunteers at least once every year. It is your responsibility to share this presentation with your volunteers. After they have finished viewing this, they must sign the Civil Rights Training log. You must keep this on file at your agency. We will look for this log at your site visit. The public notification is your agency's way of letting your community know that you are offering food to the community. Each agency is required to provide some form of public notification, at least once each year. The full non-discrimination statement must be included on all public notification materials, with just a few exceptions. Public notifications should include agency name, address, contact information, and days and times of operation. There are several forms of public notification. Let's go through them. Publishing your distribution days and times in your community's local newspaper is one form of public notice. It is acceptable to not include the full non-discrimination statement in the paper, but you must include, "This institution is an equal opportunity provider," in your notice. Remember to retain a copy of the newspaper for your records. Hanging up flyers in the community is an easy way to handle your public notification. You must post the flyer in a place off of your property, such as the library, grocery store, or community center. A template of a flyer is available on our website. After posting it in the community, retain a copy and write the locations and dates posted on the back. Your agency's Facebook page or website is another place you may post your public notification. Ensure you include the full non-discrimination statement, or you may include, "This institution is an equal opportunity provider," with a hyperlink to the full statement. If you choose to use Facebook for your agency's public notification, it must be posted in the About section of your organization's Facebook page. Storage facilities must be sanitary and free from rodent, insect, and other animal infestation. This is best achieved by contracting with a professional service for effective pest control. If pest control is done in-house, a log should be kept to keep track of frequency. Blank pest control logs are available on our website. Safeguards must be in place to prevent theft, spoilage, and other loss. Thermostats are required in storage areas. Follow first expired, first out, FIFO, principles. USDA food comes to us with good dates, so we should never be in a position of having expired USDA food. Commodities should be stored off of the floor and away from the wall. Maintain foods at proper temperatures. Utilize freezer and refrigerator thermometers. Recommended temperature levels are 50 degrees to 70 degrees Fahrenheit for dry storage areas, 36 degrees to 40 degrees Fahrenheit for refrigerated storage areas, -10 degrees to 0 degrees Fahrenheit for frozen storage areas. USDA commodities must be stored separately from other foods in your pantry and labeled as USDA food. Why do we sometimes have an abundance of a certain type of food? These are some of the different types of USDA commodities that you may receive. Entitlement commodities are foods ordered by the state with allotted funds. Bonus commodities are foods offered to the state for TEFAP at no cost. Our state will generally always say yes to any opportunity for extra food for our people experiencing food insecurity. As a result, we will receive an influx of bonus commodities, such as beans, raisins, etc. We at the food bank do not have a choice as to what commodities are available to us and our agencies. However, we must appreciate all the nutritious food we receive from TEFAP, no matter what it is. As a USDA certified agency, it is your obligation to accept your allocation of all commodities. Please be prepared for larger than normal USDA allocations. We encourage you to be generous to your neighbors in need and give out more food than you may have in the past. The government is obtaining much more perishable food for food banks. Beautiful produce, dairy, and frozen items. Part of your commitment to the USDA program is distributing not just your dry products, but perishables too. Make sure you have adequate storage space for USDA frozen and refrigerated foods, or plan your distribution to give out perishables on the same day you receive them. You can also schedule a special distribution day for your USDA produce, milk, and other items. What will SCDA and LCFB look for during a site visit? SCDA conducts reviews to ensure agencies are compliant with federal and state regulations. The reviewer will review paperwork, storage area, and may discuss some requirements and recommendations for program operation. Following the review, agency managers should expect to receive a review letter detailing any findings, instructions for corrective actions, additional requests, and/or recommendations for more efficient operation. A response to corrective actions are due within 30 days of receiving the review letter. Failure to respond may result in suspension from the program. Unless otherwise noted, all corrective actions must be addressed. Take a look at the list on the right for all items the Food Bank and Department of Agriculture will look for at a visit. Bolded is the public notification, which is one of the most common findings at a visit. What is still required for TEFAP distribution? We know there has been some confusion during the pandemic, and we appreciate everyone's hard work during this time. We wanted to clear up how we must proceed going forward to remain in compliance. Each person receiving TEFAP commodities must be eligible for TEFAP by living in your agency's county and falling within the income guidelines. Each recipient must have a TEFAP application completed before receiving USDA food. It is now acceptable for an agency representative to print the client's name in the signature spot on the TEFAP application and the commodity log to avoid close interaction, if you choose. What about distributing TEFAP food, drive-thru style? Do I still need to show posters at my drive-thru distribution? Yes. All required posters and the income guidelines must be visible. You may display them on a portable bulletin board. Do I still need to use applications and a commodity log for people receiving TEFAP? Yes. Everyone receiving TEFAP food must have an application on file and have their visit recorded each time they receive food, either on paper or in link-to feed. You might consider having a separate line for people who have already completed an application versus those who have not yet. You can download all USDA forms and more from our website. If you have questions about this training or anything regarding TEFAP, you can email us at membershipservices@lcfbank.org. Our contact at the South Carolina Department of Agriculture, Chris Doyle, can also assist with any TEFAP questions. Thank you for participating in our mandatory annual TEFAP training. Please click the link in the video description below to access the confirmation form. You can also find a link to the form in the email you received regarding this training. If you do not complete the confirmation form by Friday, November 12, 2021, your agency may be suspended from receiving USDA food until it has been completed.